Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. Hello, everybody. We are back, and as promised, with more bike content. So, the last few episodes and the upcoming episodes, I'm really excited about our guests because all of them I've actually been able to meet in real life and before recording. So recently I've met a lot of people who I've recorded with before, but now it's like I got to meet in person, and now they're on the podcast, and it just creates a whole different kind of vibe. So I'm super excited today to have Mia from Women's Mountain Bike Network. I don't remember how I came across Women's Mountain Bike Network, probably somewhere just online on the socials, started following. And then, of course, as I'm getting into the bike events for this summer too, everyone's telling me, oh, you got to talk to Mia, you got to talk to Mia. And I'm like, yes, we've been chatting online through LinkedIn and things like that. So I'm super stoked we got to connect at Sea Otter, meet in person, and then now have her on the podcast to share her journey and story of biking and starting Women's Mountain Bike Network and all of the good stuff that they're doing. So Mia, I'm going to turn it over to you. And what I love to start off with is where you are at the time of recording, physically in the world. Where are you at?
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'm really, really excited to be a part of this podcast because I'm a big fan of yours. So I'm excited to be here. I am coming to you from Southern California, Ventura County, Southern California.
Okay.
It's a mild, cold day today of 62 degrees.
Okay, you know what's really funny about that is we talk about the differences often, whether I'm in Tahoe, really high up in elevation too. It's often quite cold just in my house. But right now, I think literally it's 60 something degrees outside, and I'm about to get sunburned. I'm sweating. I'm it's so hot.
Yeah, I wish it started to get hot here, but the last 2 weekends it's gotten cold. So last weekend it rained. This coming weekend apparently it's supposed to rain, and we have a really big International Women's Mountain Bike Day thing planned. So hopefully it doesn't rain during the day. At night, yes.
Yeah.
But during the day, no.
Yeah, get some of that brown pow. I talked with someone earlier today, and they were talking about snow possibly coming for one of their camps this weekend that they have planned, and last weekend in Tahoe. So that was the last full weekend of April. If you're listening to this from the future, or we're recording it from the future, it snowed a couple feet almost. It was 10 inches one day on Friday or something, and then almost 10 the next. So yeah, but I think that was our last big push there, and now it's going to be spring. It'll probably happen again, a little dusting, and it gets cold randomly, but for the most part I think we're in it, and it's going to be dry up here in no time.
Yeah, I mean it gets pretty dry up there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, very dry and dusty. So
Yeah, I mean, right now it gets dry here, and I'm not a big fan because when you ride, it's just sand, and I'm so scared of that kitty litter when I ride my bike. I just feel like I'm going to face plant every time.
Absolutely. And that is one thing about riding conditions in the desert and whatnot that I'm definitely not used to, and kind of prepping for September with Rome Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I've got some background noise. Hopefully it's not too distracting.
It's okay.
But yeah, so getting used to it more so here with how dry and dusty it is and loose, but I do miss the Pacific Northwest days for sure at times.
Yeah, is that where you're from originally?
Yep. Yeah, but I definitely didn't start biking up there. I didn't start biking till I came down to Tahoe, so I'm more used to it down here, I guess, than up there, but I still relate to it more up there.
Yeah, no, I get it. Man, I can't wait to ride up in the Pacific Northwest. Talk about loam.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm super excited to get to go back up there. I don't know if I'll get to go back up in the summer, but hopefully get some riding in the fall for sure up there. But speaking of all the bike talk, where we're from and all that, I want to dive into really where it all started for you. Obviously, we can tell, we can hear like you're not from the US, but I'm curious, yeah, like how long have you been in the US? Like, has this been home for a very long time? Second home considered still, or give us the rundown on Mia.
Yeah. So I was way back machine. I was born in Brazil. My parents immigrated to Australia when I was very little. So I was raised in Australia. And I have been in the US for probably, I think, like 18 years now. And came here to meet because I met someone and then ended up going back to college later in life. And then thankfully that relationship ended. And then I met my now wife. Um, Laws changed. We were able to get married and I was able to stay in the US. And after that, I have always been very sporty. Like I've always been very athletic. I was a soccer player the majority of my life. I am an avid musician. I play various different instruments, but like after a really bad rock climbing accident in 2013 where I fell like 15 feet flat on my back, my doctor pretty much told me like you need to find another sport. And so um, I couldn't really do a lot of impact sports because I have horrible ankles from playing soccer my whole life. And I found mountain biking in like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I want to say. But it wasn't until COVID hit where I really discovered like a passion for a enduro style, technical style mountain biking. Um, and that came when I was halfway through law school and I lost my dog. My dog got cancer. He was very young. He was only 7, and that just completely tore me to pieces, my wife and I. And after losing him, we went to Sedona because Sedona is a place we would go to every 2 or 3 times a year since we had met. Like my wife's parents have a condo there. And I was able to do a different type of mountain biking that I'd never done before. And I fell in love with mountain biking again. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And on that trip, I spent the 8-hour drive home trying to research a better mountain bike for me because I had like a cross country bike. It was like 100 mil of travel. It was like not the right bike for that terrain. And I did not find anything online, reviews, nothing for women or by women. There's nothing. And if there were, I didn't find it. I looked and looked and looked, and I talked to various people about starting this idea of just creating resources for women online. And Lindsay Richter was one of the first people I talked to about it. And she said, yeah, you should do it. And then I was halfway through law school. I couldn't do it. So I had to wait. And, I didn't even take the bar exam. I just went straight into finishing law. I did start studying for the bar exam. I did like 60 hours a week for 5 weeks. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And I don't regret it. But, yeah, so then I started the network a few months after that. And it's only been within the last year that it's really picked up steam where I've had help from folks, because I still work full time. Like all of us
Mhm.
still work full time and try and make this happen. But the passion is there, like it's needed, right? Like women need these resources, and even though I have limited time to provide this work, hopefully that'll change this year.
Mhm.
Um, it's what we need. We need different opinions. It's not about me. It's about like everyone else around me. Women were so different. So like Candace does reviews, Sierra does reviews, I do stuff, Becca writes articles. Like it's a team effort, and um it's only going to get bigger from here. I feel like I just regurgitated a lot at you right now.
No worries. I will definitely like dive into it, tear it all apart because there's just so many things there that I want to dive deeper into. And I mean, one, the fact that it's been what you said, just like a year that it's really been kind of picking up more steam. It's in
Yeah, it was a year ago when Revel Bikes, I freaking love the crew at Revel. They were the first company to really take a chance on us and send us a bike to do a review on.
That's
And they've been a
amazing.
supporter. I'm very bummed that they are closing their doors, although I'm hearing rumors that they have a buyer, so I'm not certain about that. But
I saw you
yeah,
post about that, and I was, there's a lot of things happening right now with small businesses, especially in the outdoor industry,
yeah,
and especially in the bike industry too. I mean, I know it's been a rough couple years for the bike industry. There was such a boom after COVID, or during COVID rather, and then after it all of a sudden seemed like it went to a major halt. And it seems that in
yeah,
the outdoor industry, the bike industry specifically is still struggling quite a lot with it all, and there's so many different aspects to it, but it's always
yeah.
such a bummer to see a small business have to close its doors, especially one that has been of great support.
Yeah, and in general, like Revel bikes were different than other bikes. They had a different proprietary suspension. They, were for riders by riders. Like I got close with they're friends of mine, just like I'm friends with a lot of people in different bike companies as well. I would be just as sad to see another bike company close.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they were the first company that like really helped us, and they threw a little money our way to do stuff, and I'm always going to be very grateful for that because they were the only ones to do that.
And that means so much in the position that you're in, position that I'm in, just very small, like we still, I am including myself in that, all have like full-time jobs. We do
Yeah.
other things. These are definitely, and again, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure that our paths and lines cross here, that it maybe started as a passion project, but it's like it that doesn't feel like it's the right word for it, because when I think about a passion project, I think about something that, I love and I do in my spare time, but like this, I don't know, there's just more to it. I see so much more. It can be so much more. So while yes, it is a passion project, it is something that I want to be so much more than it is,
Yeah.
because like there's, as much as women's sports and things have grown and we do have a lot more options, there's still a long ways to go. And in the time we're in right now,
Yeah.
it feels like, well, we're going backwards, if anything. So it just feels like the fight's never over. So the more voices and things we have out there, the better. So that's why I'm so stoked to watch what you're doing, and just be able to collaborate. So it's super cool.
Yes. Yeah, I love what you're doing. And the fact that we got to meet each other like at Sea Otter, it was so kismic. Like we both got out of the car at the same time.
Yeah,
We're like, oh,
totally. Parked right next to each other. Yeah, that was crazy.
I
It's
know.
perfect. Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. Also, what I want to dive into is a little bit more on your background, because you said, you were going to law school, right? So that, and soccer, growing up being a team sport person, that's how I grew up. And also my co-host Amber, who couldn't make it today, very much involved more in the team sports realm, and discovered more like action sports a little bit like later in life. I started snowboarding at 17, but mountain biking I didn't find until my mid to later 20s, and I still feel like I'm very much on the learning train of it. And um yeah, so with growing up playing soccer, I know you said you had just bad ankles and kind of had to find other things to do. Were you ever competitive in biking, or was it all just for fun? Like, how do you relate being that team sports person and kind of growing up with that in that headspace to then finding a sport like mountain biking?
That's a good question. Mountain biking, I never competed in mountain biking. I've always wanted to. Like I always every year I'm like, "Ooh, I'm going to enter the sturdy dirty this year." Just
Yes.
cuz I want to do it, not
Mm-hmm.
because I'm competing against anyone, because what I've found is that especially with women, it's like a camaraderie, right? So like even if you're riding in a group with other women in mountain biking, you're just there for each other. There isn't this competition of, maybe there's friendly competition, but there isn't this competition of, oh, I'm going to QOM this and you're not going to catch me or whatever, But because I started doing this with my wife, her and I, we do everything together. And We're very supportive with each other, and she's way fitter than I am. So when I have an e-bike, it's good because I finally keep up with her on the uphills. But she's kind of like my teammate, or it's like one of the things I wanted to bring to the network, that we have a map on the website that has where you can find coaches and clubs and groups from around the world. And so I did that purposefully to make that kind of like a team thing where folks can ride with each other, because we're so intimidated as it is. Like, women are already taught to self-doubt. And, you know, I was talking to an athlete the other day, and she told me that sometimes she doesn't really feel comfortable going on group rides because she doesn't feel adequate. And I was like, dang, girl, really? She's like, yeah. So I wanted to break that stigma of like, if you're having fun, that's all that matters. Like you said, you feel like you're constantly learning. I think that that's a great thing, because I don't think even if you're a professional, you're going to be done learning,
Mhm.
right? Like, bikes are going to change, geometry is going to evolve, you're going to have to adjust to something. I spent 5 months off the bike because I tore some ligaments on my right ankle during Christmas time really bad. Like, one of them just tore off my bone. And so
Oh,
I literally went on my second bike ride this last weekend to test it out on my analog bike. And I felt like I was relearning things as well. But it's all in my head because, like, I know the bike well. It's my personal bike. I know the trails really well. Yet I just felt like, oh my God, are my feet positioned well? And, like, can I make this tight switch back? And I think you're always learning. The good thing about mountain biking is that if you're having fun, you're a mountain biker. You don't need to have a professional title to call yourself a mountain biker, you
I
know?
love that because in this sport and a lot of mountain sports, I feel like it is there can be like an elitistness to it where
Yes.
it depending on what gear you have, what clothes you're wearing, right? You don't fit the mold, you don't look the part or whatever, and you don't feel like a biker. You don't feel like you can call yourself a mountain biker if you're not biking certain trails or a certain number of times a week. And it's just like, no, if you ride a bike, then you can be called a mountain biker. Like, and I mean,
Yeah.
you also don't have to identify as that. You can just be a person who enjoys mountain biking, and you don't have to say I'm a mountain biker. And I've been trying to think about that in terms of myself too. It's like, well, I don't need to identify as all these different
Exactly.
things. It's like I love doing it, but like, yeah, do I call myself a mountain biker, a snowboarder, or whatever? Like, not really anymore, because I just don't identify with the one thing. It's not my entire personality. Those are just things that I enjoy doing. And I also, total side note, think you should definitely do the Sturdy Dirty, because that was my very first race. When I
Was it
first
really?
Yeah, when I first got into
Nice.
biking, I again was like later 20s, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I want to go all in, and I'd love to race and whatnot." But I had a shitty $150 bike off Craigslist that was definitely not a mountain bike like of today's, and hardtail. But I was riding the trails around here, and like, if I just get a bike that works, I could do
Yeah.
this. But I
Yeah.
was still in my like competitive age. I was not super in. I've never been great at uphills on anything, but I I just had more of the competitive side to me, and I'm super glad that I didn't actually do a race until later. It was 2 years ago at the Sturdy Dirty, because I just wanted to experience it. Like I said, I just wanted to do it for
Yeah.
myself. In no way did I think that I was gonna win or trying to win or anything like that. And that was a headspace that I wasn't used to growing up in like a team sport, and kind of always having the goal of like, no, we're here to win. So doing
Yeah.
a like quote unquote competition without having the competitive mindset was just great for me and myself and my mindset. And it's just so much fucking fun. And I think that it is the
Yeah.
only race that I would probably ever do, because it feels so much more like having fun and being connected instead of that race vibe. Even though there are definitely people there who are there to race and to compete, you that's not the overwhelming feeling there. So you can definitely go and
Mhm.
race and not get that vibe.
And that's what I love about it. It's like you don't have to. be this competitive. You can be you're welcome no matter your skill level of why you're there, right? So that's what I love about it. And Rome Fest is like that too. You're gonna love it. Like the first Rome
Yes.
Fest I went to, I felt like if I had all those women around me 24/7, I would never be depressed
Yeah.
because it's always about like, yes, you got this, you can do it, like it's freaking awesome when women come together. Like we're just such a good support system for each other.
Absolutely. And I do think that some of it comes, I mean, I'm older and have experienced this, so I guess I can say it old, not like just older in general of the people that I'm about to talk about, where I I was going to say I think it could be an age thing too, where you you go through
Yeah.
life and you just learn, right, that like, okay, you can drop the ego a little bit and you can be more open. And it
Mhm.
could also be a generational thing. I do think that the younger generation is a little more open and coming to these ideas faster than like our generations did
Yeah.
or something. And that's
Yeah.
because there is just more collaboration out there happening. But no matter what age you are, there are people out there who do feel like you said that inadequate feeling, and it's something that I fight with all the time. And I'm coming out of this stage that I feel like I've been in for honestly years of where I didn't want to go on group rides because all of a sudden I went on a group ride and I was like, wow, why can't I keep up? Like I said, I was never like a fast climber or anything, but it just progressively got worse with seemingly out any explanation because I'm still like working out, doing all these things. So I'm like, why the hell can't I just get uphill? And so the gap felt like it was just getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, I don't even want to be around, I don't want to ride with other people at all, feeling that they're judging me. But they're
Mm.
totally not at
Yeah.
all because you get out there
Yeah.
on these group rides and everyone's just there to have fun. It's not a competition when you're out on a group ride, but you just don't feel good enough. And again, it's that ego thing. And the fact that you
Mhm.
mentioned that athlete who feels it or has felt it also, it's insane. Like we all go through
Mhm.
different stages and phases of life where I feel like it comes and goes. I don't think that goes back to kind of always learning that you could be at this place in life, but shit happens and it can knock you backwards and you can go through those stages
Yeah.
again. But I do feel like when you have something like mountain biking that can kind of help keep you out of it because you remember like, okay, this is for me. This is fun, this is a passion, this is a love. Like I don't need to
Yeah.
put this ego on it.
Yeah. It's 100% what it is. And I mean, who you ride with plays a big role in that as well. And, you know, just this weekend, I rode with a friend of mine I hadn't seen in a year. And she's a really good climber. And she was on like a really big, like 180 mil um, bike. It was like a big freaking bike, even though it was 27.5. But wheels. But we got to a point where my foot was starting to bother me and I couldn't really keep up with her. She was climbing. It was like mile 13. And I stopped and I was going to say, as I caught up to her, I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Like, I'm slowing you down. And I swear to God, I thought of my friend Amaranth. She is the founder of the Sedona Mountain Bike Academy. One time I said that to her and she goes, no, you don't say sorry. If anything, you say thank you for waiting for me. And in my head, I was like, hey, Meg, thanks for waiting for me, dude. Sorry. And she just looked at me. She goes, did you just say sorry? And I was like, yes. And I was trying to avoid not saying sorry. But yeah, I mean, mountain biking is such a special sport. You're out with nature, you're outside, you're riding with people you love, right? Like, how could you not have fun?
I know. So I went
And
out
e-bike.
for, oh yeah, so I am getting much closer to wanting to go the e-bike route because of things like, well, I really love too that you said that you're on an e-bike and your wife is not, right? Yeah, and because
Mhm.
it provides like in my head, and I think in a lot of people's heads still, the e-bike transition, it feels like for me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to, quote unquote cheating, right? I don't want to lose I know it still takes work. It's pedal assist, right? You're not just on a motor, but even like dirt biking still takes work out of you. But I just get so terrified because I'm so unhappy with like the fitness level, or that climbing's getting harder for, like I said, no apparent reason, that I'm like, if I go totally e-bike, like I'll never ever be able to ride my analog again. But it's just also like, don't worry about it, like why am I worried about that? Like if it's
Exactly.
honestly that's what's keeping me from enjoying this sport, and that's why last summer, I after the Sturdy Dirty in July, I got home, I like didn't ride my bike again. And because it's a it's now like a blocker for me, is that I just think about, oh, I don't want to do that climb, it's going to ruin my day, it takes everything out of me, and then I can't enjoy the down. So I'm like, why don't I just remove that if possible? An e-bike is help there to
Yeah.
assist you, it is not cheating. And
Yes.
again, that's where the ego gets into play. But I'm sitting there thinking like, well, if I want to go ride with this person or that person, or just feel better about myself, and like sustain some energy,
Yeah.
maintain energy, then like this is the route for me. And again, no, it's not like anyone's judging me. I'm not going to be out there
No.
flying ahead of my friends now, okay, and sitting there at the top waiting for them. It's going to keep me on their pace.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So, like last year, I went to Santa Cruz to ride with the Juliana Santa Cruz people. I was the only one on an e bike. Everyone else, including my wife, was on analog bikes. And let me tell you, like, have you ridden in Santa Cruz? There's some gnarly shit in Santa Cruz.
Only
Like,
one minor
not
trail I've
gnarly
ridden.
stuff
Yeah.
in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
But still, like, so they took me on like their local trails and stuff. And I would not have been able to keep up with them on some of those uphills because of that. My fitness as well just wasn't there. Like I mountain bike for the downhills. My wife mountain bikes because she loves the endurance and the pedaling and the cross country, right? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's like you said, it's that aspect of you're still having fun. Who gives a shit what bike you're on, right? You're keeping up with your friends, and that's all that matters. And another thing I wanted to add with the whole e-bike thing is yes, it's ego. There's a lot of people that are still really upset about it and whatever their issue is. And I used to be like that until I actually sat on one. I was like, yep, no, I'm an e-bike person now. But you have to think about people with disabilities as well. So for me, I can ride longer because I'm on an e-bike and I can still practice my skills and I can still have a good time for various reasons. Like I have a bulging disc. I have a 4 mil bulging disc in my C7 from when I fell rock climbing. So my doctor has told me you cannot ride any longer than 2.5 hours max. And now with my foot, it's the same thing. Like I don't have that force just yet, that power. I'm not saying I'm a disabled human being. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is for folks with injuries or those who do have a disability, like an e-bike is key to continue to having fun, to continue riding, to continue doing a sport that you love. So for folks that sit there and give people crap, like check your ego at the door. I'm just going to say that. You can quote me on that because it's just
Absolutely.
ridiculous. It's absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I 100% agree. And because there's definitely people out there, and they're more of the gatekeepy people who think that anyone who rides e-bike is someone who, well, I think it's less now, because there's people who I know who were
Yes.
very avid bikers who also have e-bikes, because there are just certain trails that are just easier on the up. You're spending less time on the up, because why are some of us riding?
Yep.
Because we enjoy the down more, not the climb. And you want to get
Exactly.
out there before work
Exactly.
or on your lunch break, and an e-bike allows you to do that. But it's like, yeah, it is not just people who don't know what they're doing, and or they're not in shape enough, and then they're going to get hurt on the trail. It's like there's so many other reasons. And like you, it's like, I don't have an injury, I'm not claiming, any kind of disability or anything, but if I know that this ride and this climb takes so much energy out of me, that the down is less enjoyable, or also could be less safe because I'm so fucking tired now, then
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
e-bike can keep me personally safer, because I have more energy and muscle endurance like on the down to have more control and stability. So it's, yeah, absolutely not cheating by any means at all because it's not a freaking motor out there, and it's giving more access
No,
to more
but
people
like,
in age, people who are just older, like
yeah,
are back on mountain bikes.
yes, like who gives a crap? Let's just have fun. Yeah, the gatekeepy stuff like just drives me absolutely bonkers. It drives me crazy. I can't
And
with people.
it's interesting though because there is still a lot of rules about where e-bikes are allowed, and I find that
Yes.
very, very interesting because even at Sea Otter, the ride that I went on, I did a clinic with Ladies All Ride, very short little clinic, but some of the ride, oh, no, 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 sorry. It was when I did the group ride with Kasia Socks. They didn't allow e-bikes because some of the ride was going through private property or some land. I can't remember what it
Mm.
was that didn't allow it. And I was like, that's crazy to me. And I know when e-bikes first were coming out, there's a lot of trails that are like no e-bikes, no e-bikes. But I just nowadays don't know why, because it's like, again, it's not a motor, so why are they not allowed on
Well,
certain trails?
so federal land, that's a big issue on federal land because they don't know that it's not a motor. They just think it's an e-bike, so they equate it to like the class 3 e-bikes that has a throttle,
Uh,
that just like a regular motorcycle. But I've researched this at length because there was a friend of mine who got a really bad disability, and he used to be a professional mountain biker, and he lived in a place where it was all federal land and e-bikes weren't allowed. And so you technically, don't quote me on this, and this is not legal advice, but technically, if you have a disability whereby a doctor has told you you have some type of a disability, rangers can't kick you off the land or give you a fine. If they do, you can appeal it. But for a lot of places, it's covered by ADA. So, like, you just have to die on that hill, though. Like, it's a long battle of fighting with the rangers who may not know the law, and they're just doing their job. And nowadays there aren't even enough rangers to even monitor this stuff. And with the
right.
stupid administration, everything is going down the shitter now anyway. Like, you know, it's just anyway. But I think that's the main reason why. It's because originally legislation was thought to think to say that these bikes were motorized. They had a throttle. They're like the electric Surons or whatever, but they're not. Um, so it got a bad rap. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, with some e-bikes now being coming out as a class 3, that's not gonna make it worse. But
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. So that's what
yeah,
it was. I couldn't remember if it was like the with the group ride that it was saying it goes through BLM land, because I was like, wait, that in
yeah,
my mind doesn't make sense that it wouldn't be allowed on BLM land, but that's good to know, and I think it's great for listeners out there too, because if you are in the realm of being interested in e-biking, it is something you or getting an e-bike, something you do have to pay attention to still is like
yes,
where you can ride your bike. And I have seen some trails that call out specifically, class 1 and 2 or whatever, are
yeah,
okay and whatnot. So paying attention to that and just what land, which is can be still annoying if you're
yeah,
traveling or something like that, and or like if you are with a group of people and you cannot ride your e-bike, and now it's just going to cause a big rift or whatnot. But that's, I think, too, why I'm a little scared to go to the e-bike realm, because like I said, I'm so scared that I won't be able to ride my regular bike like ever. But I want to get out more, and I just know what's stopping me is the climb and the timing and all that. So
yeah.
I'm it's on my list. I
But
don't know
that's
if it'll happen this
okay.
summer. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
okay. Like hike a bike,
Yeah.
like I do that. Like I ride my analog mainly when we're in Sedona because Sedona doesn't allow e-bikes.
Mhm.
And look, I get it. I want to be able to ride my e-bike in places too. But if we start riding our e-bikes in spots that we're not allowed to, then it's really going to get banned. So
Yeah.
that's just my little caveat with things. It's like, just try and be courteous. And
Mhm.
e-bikes now, they're becoming so sophisticated that you can take the batteries out and just ride it like an analog, and they're getting lighter and lighter. So Like Transition has a bike like that. Specialized New Bike is like that. So
Oh.
you may not want to pedal a bike that's 38 pounds, but that's the same
Yeah.
pound as that's same as an enduro bike. Like if
Yep.
you have an alloy enduro, it's the same weight, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, all good things to know and keep in mind for anyone else out there like me who is interested in wanting to go towards that e-bike realm. There's still things to think about and consider. Like maybe it's
that's
not,
true.
maybe don't make it your only bike. Don't replace your analog completely. Keep that around. But
Or get
just,
one where the battery comes out.
true. Yep. Yep. There we go. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I loved your advice there too, like not legal advice, because I wanted to kind of circle back and touch on the lawyer thing. Like, you went to law school, did everything but take the bar, and you also said obviously that you're working full-time still while running Women's Mountain Bike Network. So what do you do for work currently? Is it in the law legal area?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was very fortunate that when I was still at the end of law school, I met my now boss. I work for a really good company. We're an environmental firm, and I do all the contract stuff. I do contracts, compliance, legal research. Like, with a law degree, there's a lot you can do. You just can't represent people in court, and you can't give them like legal advice like that. And I knew that. Like, when I went to law school, that wasn't I didn't want to go to law school to do that anyway. I wanted to go to law school to help people and get a degree and work in civil rights. And so specifically in like Title IX, because I worked at a university at the time. But yeah, and then going through law school and finding different things that I liked, I interned in like five different places, five different firms. I was a paralegal at a law firm while I was going to law school. And then yeah, I met my boss through my wife. My wife also works at this company. She's an archaeologist. She has a way cooler job than me. But yes, and my boss asked me to stay on afterwards. So it was really good. Like, I enjoyed doing never thought I would enjoy doing contracts, but
Yeah,
I love doing
seriously.
contract law. Like, I friggin' love it. Like,
That's
I even
awesome.
help some athletes with their contract stuff. So
Oh, cool.
um yeah, I enjoy it.
What now, when you
Yeah.
were in school and whatnot, was that something that you saw yourself doing from a young age, or where did you take that pivot into even getting into law school or interested in law at all?
I had interest in it when I was a kid, but I never thought I was smart enough to do it. It was always that self-doubt of like, I was such a slacker in school. Like, I just wanted to either play my drums or play soccer. Like, all I wanted to do in life was either play soccer or be a musician. Like, and then I went towards the musician route for a while. And yeah, and then I went to school late. I did everything backwards, Taryn. Like, I took a year off after high school and I was just slacking around Australia, like gigging with my drums and my band for a while. And then I decided to come here and try music here. And as you know, things are incredibly difficult. And then my dad was like, well, why don't you go back to school? Maybe we could see if you can go back to school there in the States, which is something I've always wanted to do. And I ended up, yeah, I went back to school later in life. Like, I didn't get my bachelor's degree till I was 28. And then met my wife. Things changed. I was able to afford going to get an advanced degree. And I was either going to get a PhD in ethnomusicology, because I'm very interested in the effects music has in people from a societal point of view. And I worked at a university at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to make any money doing this. Because I was around PhDs all the time and I knew what that was like. And it's a great life. I would love to be a student for the rest of my life. But, and then I met a friend of mine who used to work Title IX. She was the head of the Title IX compliance for the CSU system. And she's like, you would make a really great lawyer, and you have, the skills for this, and you're passionate about helping people and civil rights, etc. So I thought, all right, let me try it. Like, I didn't think I was smart enough. I applied. I got into like two different law schools, and I decided on one that allowed me to still work and go to school. And yeah, the rest is history. I literally finished my last exam a day before my 40th birthday. So technically, I graduated law
Wow.
school a day before I turned 40.
I
So
love
it's never too
that.
late. Like, it's never too late. And I had a professor that I used to work with on campus. he got his PhD at 43. And I remember him
Wow.
telling me, like, Mia, like, you're never old enough to do something you want to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, it was the snowball effect of all these things that I wanted to do, which then led to, environmental law and contract law and doing that side of it. And then falling into the network and wanting to help people with that too, because in a
Mhm.
way, that's what we're doing. We're advocating for women like on a daily basis. People
Mhm.
still don't understand that
Mhm.
we don't have things equally. I got into an
Yeah.
argument with someone on a WhatsApp group the other day. I had to remove myself because this guy kept talking about how women have it so easy and that the industry has done so much for women and it's never going to be 50-50. It's unrealistic to think it's going to be 50. Taryn, it took everything in my power to calm myself.
Yeah,
And
I can't
then
imagine.
and then I can't deal with that, because you can't have a rational conversation with people that don't want to see the issues and be a part of fixing it. There are a lot of men who are allies and have been incredibly supportive and continue to be and see the problem and want to be a part of helping it and educating people. But like when I brought up to this guy, I was like, well, is that why now the Olympics is 50-50? It's 50% women, 50% men? Because, 40 years ago it wasn't. And they were saying women would never.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a response to
Oh
that.
my god. No, it's
Like,
crazy.
give me a
It,
break. Anyway,
and I mean, so many things there. Like, for one, right, you are absolutely right. You're never too old to do anything. This is something I have to constantly remind myself because, and we mentioned this a lot on the podcast, that like, especially for women, it feels that age just lives in your head. You think, especially because when
yeah,
growing up, you think by this age I should be here, 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 blah, blah, blah. Biological clock is real fucking real. And I had, my parents were pretty young. So I just feel like thinking about having kids or anything, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be this age when they graduate or whatever, you think about the
yeah.
future so much. And I mean, you do have to think about these things, and age does affect some of those things, but it doesn't affect like changing your life. It doesn't affect that you following your dreams, or that life can change. And this has been an ongoing theme that you just shouldn't stay stagnant in life. I think that we're taught at a certain
Yeah,
point in life, you just don't change anymore. You don't do new things. And like, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I
100%.
absolutely love that, you said you did things kind of backwards, where it's like, that's how I've always felt too.
Yeah,
And it's fine. And that's the whole point too. And mission behind this podcast is like sharing these things so that people know that it is actually quite normal. You are not the anomaly. I
yes,
always felt like an anomaly and like doing things wrong, doing things backwards. So it is always just refreshing to hear others, because like I said, you just
yeah,
see these other success stories, or you only hear about these good things, and it's like, no, that's just not the way it worked for me. And my path was from like
yeah.
Z to A back to Z kind of thing.
And like, I don't even know where I'm going to be in 10 years, hopefully doing something with bikes and continuing the network. But like, I'm living in the now, and I'm living on what I can control now and how I can make a difference now. Because for so long, I lived in in the future, or I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to do this, or next time I'm going to do that, and it doesn't, I'm not, what's the word? I'm not delusional in the fact that I had people helping me in the
Mm-hmm.
background. Like, I did a lot of the work, but if it wasn't for the support system, like my wife, I wanted to quit law school like 3 times. No joke. I had like several mental breakdowns, but as one does in law school.
Oh, I get, yeah.
But she kept me going. Her and I are very different. She's very calm and introverted and easygoing and logical. I'm the complete opposite. And so the fact that she would sit me down and she's like, we don't have quitters in this family. Have your hissy fit right now, cry it out, like have your breakdown, but you're getting back to the books tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
having that, it was imperative. And my support system during law school as well, my ride or dies that are now full-fleshed freaking lawyers in federal court, like settling $10
Wow.
million cases. Like, so proud of my friends. But yeah, I mean, having a good support system means a lot. And, you know, it doesn't need to mean that that's blood relatives or family. Family is who you make it. And so if you have your close group of friends that are going to be there for you and they're going to help you, like, stick to the people that lift you up and not the ones that tear you down. I feel like I just went on a completely different tangent now,
No,
too.
I mean, that's, it happens here. And I think that's what I love about this conversation really is just like touching on the how I got here, but this is also where I live now, and this is what's happening. And I can agree with you completely on the aspect of looking ahead. I just said to somebody recently that I am so over that question or that train of thought of like, what's your 5 year plan or your 10 year plan? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I've always felt like who knows what's going to happen in life, so why map it all out, plan it all out. You can have an idea, certainly, but I think too much our society gets
Yeah.
set on how things should be at a certain time, and then you just put blinders
Mm-hmm.
on, you go tunnel vision, and then when something happens in life and you actually have to make a change, well, it just throws people off. And it's much harder to adapt because you just didn't
Yes.
think anything else could or would ever happen, and you were so stuck with this idea on how life should look or how you wanted it to
Yeah.
look. And I think we just need to have more room for like just some more openness with it. And it's like, yeah, I've got no plans for the of what life should look like in 5 years, other than similar to you. Like, I hope I'm playing with bikes still, doing something with this
Yeah.
podcast in some form. Obviously, the media world changes so fast these days, but I hope that it's
Yeah.
still continuing the message of getting women out into these more male dominated industries and just raising the voice and amplifying other women. Because unlike the delusional guy in your group chat there, things are far from 50-50. I don't know, honestly, that they ever will be, as like we said, especially with administration these days. I just saw a post today about Iron Man, and how they have gone backwards with the amount of women that they were trying to get to like equal, or maybe they were at an equal men and women in the Ironman World Championships at some point. But in any case, whether they got there or were working towards it, they are backwards now, and they're allowing less women in it, and it's just again so fucking backwards. Like, how are we doing this with
Yeah.
everything from laws to participation in things? And you're I will stand on the pedestal that says you're delusional if you think that women have anything 50-50 or have it easier or better. Like, no way.
Well, his point was that it was never going to be 50-50, and that it's purely he said something to the effect of, I don't know, I took screenshots cuz I was that angry. He said something to the effect of um what else can we do to make the sport more inviting for women? And I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It's like, what are you talking about? Making it
Yeah.
inviting for women. He's like, there's women specific bikes. And oh my God, when he said that. Anyway, no focus on the negative, focus on the positive. You know, our job is to continue to educate
Mm-hmm.
and bring awareness to these issues rather than harp and seem like we're
Yep.
just constantly complaining about it. Because
Yeah.
as women, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you complain one
Absolutely.
way or another, like, oh, you're just complaining, nothing's good enough for you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. As women, you just got to live your life and fuck everyone else. You know? That's how I do
100%.
it. That took me a long time to get here. It took me a
Yeah.
long time to get here, but that's where I'm at.
I would agree. I'm definitely getting much better at it, and I think that, but the more we're okay with it and talking about it and seeing those positives, like the easier hopefully we make those paths for the younger generation. And speaking of
Yeah.
that, I would love to cap this conversation off with you telling the audience really like what Women's Mountain Bike Network is doing, or how people can get involved and follow. And if you do see like what you see in the future of it without like really a 5-year plan or anything like that. But your big
Yeah.
dreams of what Women's Mountain Bike Network would bring people. And also I have to comment on, I love your background in this like beautiful wooden
Oh,
and
thank
logo of Women's Mountain Bike. It looks like a real fucking studio. And I'm like, I'm sitting in a damn parking lot.
you.
Sorry everybody for the noise. This is not like me, but
No, don't. Don't start. Don't be self-deprecating at all. You're freaking awesome.
thank you.
Um, so man, where to start? Like the whole goal of the network was to be a one-stop shop for folks to come find info on like bikes and gears and reviews, education, um, where to ride, women-owned businesses. Like a lot of that we have up on the website. So I have like this huge idea of what I want it to be. We even have a forum like as a safe space for folks to come and connect, and it's open to both men and women. Like it doesn't matter as long as we are respectful of each other. But um my goal is that we can do more news articles and highlight more athletes and community leaders and folks that are really advocating to get more women and kids on bikes, because they're the real heroes and they're the people that need to be highlighted. So I want to be able to really hone in on that. And athletes that have been around for a while that are still freaking kicking ass, like Jill Kittner winning her 12th freaking Sea Otter. That's sick.
Crazy.
Um,
Crazy.
and like inspiring the next generation. Like we have a few ambassadors now. It's the first year we've got some ambassadors, and our youngest ambassador is a 13-year-old kid who's going to be a professional mountain biker one day. Like you ask her what she wants to do, and she wants to be a Rampage. Like what the fuck? Isn't
Yes.
that amazing? I'm like, yes,
Yes.
girl, you're going to be a Rampage, right?
You're
Like
gonna be at Rampage like next
so.
year.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like the long-term goal, and I think we're getting there, is just for it to be a one-stop shop for folks to come and find all of that information and be a resource for them. And if you want something and you can't find it, like email us or DM us on Instagram, or there's myriad of ways to get a hold of us, and we'll try and connect you. If there's a group online that you don't see but you know about them, again, like email us, tell us. The service is free. I don't charge. There's no subscriptions. Like everything is open to everyone. So that's, yeah, I mean, and I'd love to do more reviews. Like I want to be able to review more gear and go to these events and show women what these events are about. Like Rome Fest is freaking kick ass. And if you can make it to one at least once, like you're not going to regret it, and you're going to make long life friends. The same with camps. Like skills camps are so important, and people don't realize the value of a skill camp. um I want to be able to go to those and highlight those for people. So there's so much, Taryn. There's just so much stuff. But if you want to get involved, like just contact us. We're always looking for folks to help. If you have a story you want to highlight, yes, let us know. I want to put it up on the website. Yeah,
I
there's
love it.
like, I don't feel like I can go on for forever.
Well, I mean, you should feel that way about your creation, your baby, that you could just go on and on. So it's awesome to hear, and amazing that it's all free. And I love that, yeah, you just want to get information out there to people. I think what you're doing is amazing. And how many people do you have on the team? I know I met Sierra at Seattle. Also, you mentioned a couple other women who are on the Women's Mountain Bike Network team.
Yeah, so Candace as well has been helping out a lot with so much, like on the back end and the newsletter and all that good stuff. Becca from Girls Pull Up Not Out, she's been with me for a long time, on and off, and she is an amazing writer, and she's been gathering a lot of info for us on news articles, and I've been teaching her how to do things on the back end of the website. Sierra is really good, and she also runs her own business, so it's hard to always pin her down, but Sierra has been helping a lot with social media strategy. And I mean, eventually we're going to get to a point where people are going to earn money from this. I'm very confident in
Yes.
that, so I'd love for the team to stick around. But we're always looking for contributors and folks to help. Like I have a friend of mine in New Zealand who shot crankworks for us. Like there's always so many amazing things. I think the ultimate goal is to just really change the narrative in mountain biking that's so heavily male dominated and all about let's shred and let's do this and let's do that. And there's nothing wrong with shredding and dudes that do that, but it's not representative of the sport, and I
Yeah.
want it to be a representation of the sport.
Mhm.
So, we'll get there slowly but surely, but
Absolutely.
we'll get there.
I absolutely just love your positive attitude and confidence and the way you speak about everything. Like, that you are building something, you will get to the point of paying your people and making it something. And I'm trying to hone that in myself of like really putting these goals and dreams out there as a it will happen thing instead of like, oh, I hope, to one day do
Yeah.
this, but like, I'm gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And I think we all need to take a little lesson from that and start talking to ourselves that way. And the reminder too of trying to get sorry out of our freaking vocabulary and quit the
Yes.
self-deprecating, which is so hard to do. So I think people in general are like that, but especially again women, we're so much worse at it. And yeah, gotta
Yeah.
stop. I knew someone who like push-ups every time you say sorry. like, like don't do
Ooh,
that.
that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, totally. Little
You
little
know what?
punishment
I
for
might,
fun.
like, do that.
Yeah, like on a
I'm
ride or
gonna
something,
do
like,
that on
stop and,
rides
like,
to
yeah,
myself.
do some
Yeah.
squats, do some push-ups, do something, like, just remind yourself, like, "No, go back down the hill and start over."
Yeah, no, seriously, that's what I think I'm gonna tell myself is like, "Okay, you said sorry, you're gonna have to do that hill again."
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
that would be the biggest
I don't know.
punishment for me, so maybe I should start doing that too, like,
Wait, but
yes.
if I'm on an e-bike, then I'm fine, I'll do it on an e-bike, so
Yeah. 100%, like, this is just training. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like I said, Mia, I absolutely love what you're doing. I'm so happy we were able to connect in person and then
Thank
have
you.
you on the pod and share Women's Mountain Bike Network. I'm also really excited for what it seems like opportunities to be able to collaborate more in the future at events, like hopefully see you at Rome Fest for sure, maybe at the Sturdy Dirty one day, and just throughout
Yes.
the bike network and industry now. It's just again collaboration over competition, rising tides raise all
Yes.
ships. That's been a phrase that's been coming up so much from people, and it's just so important because I know I personally stop myself a lot because I see someone else in the space where I don't even approach because I'm like, oh no, like I don't want them to think I'm encroaching on them or anything, so I don't want to reach out. And I'm like, no, like why do I automatically think that they're not going to want to collaborate with me because they're going to look at me as a competition, and when I'm not looking at them that way, I'm just like, no, let's be friends. And so yeah,
Yeah.
trying to again keep that mindset, reach out, because it's like, no, a lot more of us are on that page of like, let's do this shit together, because our overall art and overarching goal is to just have more friends and get more women out there.
Exactly, I agree. We should all work together to bring awareness and just take over the trails and have fun.
Heck yes. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing. And as you all know out there, you can find all the information to find Women's Mountain Bike Network in the show notes. Mia also has a podcast. And it is
Yes.
called just Women's Mountain Bike Network podcast, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So listen to her podcast. We have some, I don't know right now if we've had the same guest or will or whatever, like, but I always listen to people I love on any podcast they're on. So go listen to Mia's podcast, follow along, and you can learn some really great stuff and get some great bike and gear reviews from her and her team. So thank you, Mia,
Thank you.
and we'll talk to
Thank
y'all
you for
out there
having me.
next time. Of course.
Thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.